జై శ్రీరామ్. తదుపరి ప్రసంగం నేషనల్ సంస్కృత్ యూనివర్సిటీ ప్రొఫెసర్ శ్రీమతి ఎస్ వైష్ణవి గారిని వేదికను అలంకరించి సైకలాజికల్ ఆర్కిటైప్స్ అండ్ సింబాలిజం ఇన్ ద రామాయణ టాపిక్ గురించి ప్రసంగించవలసిందిగా కోరుతున్నాం. జై శ్రీరామ్.
సభాయ నమః. ఉపస్థితేభ్యः సర్వేభ్యः స్వాగతం సుస్వాగతం. నమోస్తు రామాయ సలక్ష్మణాయ దేవ్యై చ తస్యై జనకాత్మజాయ నమోస్తు రుద్రేంద్ర యమానులేభ్యో నమోస్తు చంద్రార్కమరుద్భ్యః. పునరేకవారం సర్వేభ్యः స్వాగతం. There is a humble attempt from my side to present the psychological archetypes and symbolism in the Ramayana. This is a research article. At the outset, I would like to present what is a psychological archetype as per Jung's psychology. See, there is a fascinating fact that I have to tell you before I start my paper. There are different Western psychologists in the ages that we have seen and to come. But this particular psychologist whom I am talking about has accepted rebirth, has accepted past life, has accepted our Indian samskaras. He has visited Kashi in his times during 1940s and his name is Carl Gustav Jung. He is one of the propagators of psychoanalytical theory. He has spoken about different archetypes. I would first try to make you understand what an archetype is, and then I would like to tell you my humble attempt on how archetypes were previously projected in Ramayana well before different yugas, as we know. If the Indian culture of the past is the richest and best in the world, and if it has kept India in a preeminent position in the spiritual, religious, ethical and artistic fields, it is partly because of the twin epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, as we all know. Sri Aurobindo says, a highly artistic representation of intimate significance of life, the living presentment of a strong and noble thinking, a developed ethical and aesthetical mind and a high social and political ideal, the ensouled image of a great culture. So such a great culture is represented to the two epics, that is Ramayana and the Mahabharata. What is an archetype? An archetype is a universally recognized pattern, symbol, personality, character or a theme that we come across, experience or perceive in different situations. See, for example, we see Bahubali. The director takes us into the movie. As an audience, as a spectator, when we get into the movie, we try to understand how a hero is. We see ourselves as hero. We see ourselves as heroine. We see ourselves as different parts, different characters. So the same is done in Ramayana also. Let me explain how it is. So I will be talking about two things. One is about the psychological archetype. The other one is the symbolism, the gentle symbolism and the psychological symbolism that is being presented in the Ramayana. So let's see what Carl Gustav Jung has represented by the name archetype. The self represents the unified whole personality and the goal of individualization, which is the process of integrating the conscious and the unconscious aspects of the self. The second one is the persona, the mask of social facade that a person represents to the world, the way individual behaves in the society. The shadow represents the unconscious, the darker aspects of the self that a person typically suppresses. He hides inside himself. That is the darkness that we see as shadow. The anima or the animus. Anima is a feminine form and animus is the masculine form. You believe that integrating these two aspects leads to psychological balance and wholeness. The hero represents the part of the psyche that seeks to overcome challenges, strives for excellence, strives for betterment. He gives us the protagonist way of living. The wise old man or the woman, the sage, the figure of wisdom, guidance, knowledge. This type of archetype is also found in many movies family, in every relationship that we see. The mother symbolizes nurturing, care, protection, fertility. The archetype can take a positive form of good mother. Nature is lots of mother. So every woman, and the negative ones, the terrible mother, representing smothering and destructive tendencies, like the wicked woman in a fairy tale or any epic that we see. So archetypes in our daily life, we come across a hero. How? A student studying into the late night for a major exam sees himself as if I'm a big hero. As Shaktiman falls down from the top of the building, he also feels himself as a big hero. A caregiver, a mother or a father who spends their day ensuring the child is fed, he's comfortable, he has all his stationery items, all facilities to lead a beautiful, comfortable life. The shadow, feeling jealous, the resentment towards a colleague's success. I am not able to come up, but my colleague is coming up. I don't have that wisdom which the other person has. This is exactly the shadow that represents in psychology. The trickster, this archetype of humor, mischief, challenging, talking something in front of others and behaving something else at the back. This is the trickster according to Jung's archetype. The rebel emerges when we challenge the authority, when we challenge our parents during our adolescence, in the teenage days, and we break away conventional rules. We try to overcross the rules, the societal norms. These are the rebels. Now we'll see what psychological part is there in Ramayana, and then I will try to tell you what these archetypes have been in shape in Ramayana. Dharma, the moral dilemmas, is the first topic that I take. The concept of Dharma. Dharma never has a true translation in English, unfortunately. So I come up with the word duty and righteousness in the place of Dharma. So it's the central theme of Ramayana if we see. So what happens here? Many of the characters face psychological tension when choosing between personal desires and sociological responsibilities. This reflects cognitive dissonance, where characters experience inner conflict and competing beliefs or values they don't understand. The first one, if I have to give you an example, it is Rama's exile. Rama is torn between his personal desire to become king and his duty to uphold his father's promise to Queen Kaikeyi. The second one is Sita's abduction. Sita's decision to step out of the protective circle drawn by Lakshmana, despite knowing the dangers, reflects a moment of psychological conflict between the faith in Rama's strength and the deceptive appeal of the golden deed that she sees. The second part is attachment and detachment, exactly called as Vairagya in between. Ramayana highlights the tension between attachment and detachment. How? So it says, emotional regulation and attachment theory is very well described here, as I say. Rama's detachment, Bharata's attachment. Let me explain how. Rama exhibits a high level of emotional maturity and detachment throughout the epic. He never shows his desire even in one particular scene. Now what happens here? Despite the deeply attachment towards his family, he doesn't waver in his commitment at any point of time. His ability to let go of his personal desires continues in each and every act and scene. Whereas Bharata's attachment is also very well described here. Bharata, on the other hand, shows a deep attachment towards his brother Rama. When he learns that he has been made the king in Rama's place, Bharata feels extremely guilty and sorrow. He feels refusing to accept the throne. His decision to rule as a regent on Rama's behalf, keeping Rama's sandals on the throne, reflects his emotional attachment towards the country, towards the people, towards his brother, towards his family too. The third archetype that I take, archetypes and symbolism. Rama represents the hero. Ravana represents the shadow. Sita represents the anima. How? Let me explain. A person who overcomes tremendous challenges is a hero, isn't it? As we all see in the movie. Stays virtuous, fights for justice, always does good, and sees the goodness in others. Thus he becomes the hero of the epic. Ravana, the shadow. He is the villain, the antagonist as we call. The shadow archetypes are very well reflected in Ravana. How? the darker side of human nature is very well projected through the character Ravana. He represents unchecked desires. He represents the ego. He represents the ambition towards wrong things. Psychologically, he represents what happens when the shadow is not integrated with the conscious self. His downfall can be interpreted as the eventual defeat of ego and greed. Sita, the anima, as the archetype that I have told. In Jung's terms, Sita represents the anima, the feminine aspect of Rama's psyche. She symbolizes purity, devotion, emotional component of the hero's journey, as we see in the movie. Her separation and eventual reunion with Rama mirrored the psychological process of integrating anima with the male psyche, as I told you about. The ego and the self is the fourth criterion that I have taken. Ravana's ego. Ravana's downfall is largely driven by his inflated ego and unchecked desires. His refusal to surrender to Rama, despite knowing the consequences, highlights how excessive his pride and ego can be throughout the epic. And his ego can be blind towards reality, as we see. This can be related to modern psychological ideas about narcissism and how it can lead to self-destruction of a person if he continues to be with such extreme ego. Ravana symbolizes the shadow aspect of the human psyche. Now here, this unconscious part of the mind that houses repressed desires, fears, insults, unwanted desires, everything is well protected in the unconscious mind, and it comes out when the situation is all, put together for the character to come up with. Rama's humility, in contrast, Rama's humility and the lack of ego presents an enlightened self, the Paramatma as we call. He performs his duties without attachments, without expecting outcomes, without any desire towards worldly pleasure. This is all a protagonist has to have, a hero must have, which is there in the character Sri Rama. The idea of selflessness, not being selfish, and emotional balance is being projected throughout the epic. Family dynamics and relationships, sibling relationships as we see. The relationship between Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna reflects the importance of sibling bondings. Lakshmana's unwavering loyalty to Rama, Bharata's deep sense of responsibility toward his brother illustrates the familial devotion that a psychological term as it is coined as. Parental influence. King Dasharatha's decision to exile Rama because of his promise to 𝐻𝐻 shows the psychological complexity of a parental responsibility and the relationship and its expectations. 𝐻𝐻's demand for her son, Bharata, to be the king stems from her insecurities and fears that she has in her mind, showing how parental ambitions can shape a child's destiny. Fate versus free will is my next archetype. Rama's acceptance of fate, Ravana's defense of fate. Let us see how. Throughout the epic, Rama demonstrates a deep understanding of destiny and fate if we analytically understand. While he fulfills his duties as a warrior, as a king, as a husband, as a son, as a brother. Or he also accepts the suffering that comes his way as part of larger cosmic plan. He accepts it as a larger cosmic plan. This can be interpreted as a psychological coping mechanism when acceptance of fate provides emotional resilience inside himself. Ravana's defiance of fate. Ravana, on the other hand, represents human desire to control fate and bend the universe to one's will. He wants to have the universe on his own side, which is highly impossible. Now, what happens here is refusal to acknowledge his limitations, his unwanted ambitions to rule over deities and gods, to come against human norms. These are the things which defiance his fate. Temptation and desire. Ramayana frequently explores the theme of temptation, particularly in the way characters are swayed by desire, ambition and materialism. This is relevant to modern psychology's explanation of impulse control. Being impulsive, not able to think according to the situation and just react as you want to. And delayed gratification. So these are some of the archetypes that I have tried to explain you. Now I come to the major part of my analytical research paper, wherein I will compare archetypes and the characters of Ramayana in a short time. Kindly remind me if my time is, if my time exceeds, because I will not know usually. Rama, the hero. What he does, hero's qualities are courage, honor, duty, willingness to sacrifice personal desires for a greater good. Now, the symbolism here is the journey of self-realization. Ever since he comes out of Ayodhya, it is such that he has been realizing himself time and again. So this is his journey. The fight between good and evil and the ultimate victory of virtue, good over the bad. Sita, the innocent, divine, feminine. Sita represents both innocent, divine, feminine archetype. As the embodiment of purity, devotion, loyalty, Sita symbolizes the anima according to the psychological Jung's theory. The feminine ideal of grace, patience, spiritual strength. Her abduction by Ravana and her trials in Lanka represents the challenges of maintaining inner purity and in the world filled with corruption and evil. Sita is often seen as the anima, and her purity, devotion, and soul's inherent beauty is represented here. Sita's trials, especially her Agni Pariksha, represents the purification process of the soul that undergoes to reunite with the ultimate divine. Her quality, purity, devotion, hope, trust, and divinity. The symbolism that we see here is Sita's unwavering loyalty towards her husband Sri Rama, and her trials by fire represent the testing of one's purity, integrity, the resilience in the face of adversity. Ravana, the shadow, as I told. Ravana is highly knowledgeable, as we all know, highly powerful. His pride and ego are his downfall. The mirrors the psychological concept of hubris, the overreaching of one's ability leading to self-destruction. This abduction of Sita can be viewed as ego's attempt to possess the soul, leading to the battle between the higher self, Lama, and the lower self, the Rama. The shadow qualities here are ego, desire, ambition, obsession towards unwanted things, and materialistic pleasure. The symbolism that I try to explain here is Ravana's character reflects the danger of uncontrolled ambition and desire, showing both how the shadow side of the psyche can lead to personal and societal destruction. I take Hanuman as the fourth character, the loyal companion, the inner strength, the purest form of mind, I can say. How is Hanuman compared here? As the devoted servant of Sri Rama, Hanuman represents selfless service, loyalty, his courage. He says, once I say Jai Shri Ram, I possess energy. It is not he himself, but it's because of Lord Sri Rama that he says that he possesses energy, which is something fascinating. He says, loyal companion qualities, devotion, courage, selflessness, and support at any adverse condition. Symbolism here is Hanuman's loyalty to Rama reflects the deep bond between a hero and his loyal companion, representing faithfulness, unwavering support in times of need. Hanuman symbolizes the mind's latent power. When guided by devotion and focus, you can even cross an ocean, and the typical example is Hanuman himself. Psychologically, Hanuman's ability to leap across the ocean to Lanka can be seen as a metaphor for the mind's ability to bridge the conscious and the unconscious realms. His feats symbolize the strength of devotion and power of faith, overcoming mental and emotional challenges, as we see in Sundarakanda. Lakshmana, the protector and the devoted brother. Now I see Lakshmana as a loyal, courage, dutiful, and guardian for all the times in the Ramayana. Symbolism, Lakshmana's role symbolizes familial duty, selflessness, and protective nature of a brotherhood. Now, how is he protected? His unwavering loyalty and willingness to sacrifice his own comfort for the sake of his elder brother Sri Rama, and his mission highlights his role as a protector. Lakshmana accompanies Rama into exile, stands by him in battle, serves as a guardian to Sita, reflecting both his loyalty to family, his dedication to righteousness. Bharata, the ruler and the divine child, I see him like that. Why? Because justice, responsibility, humility. These are the three characters, prominent characters we see in him. The symbolism, Bharata's rejection of power for personal gain and highlights. The true nature of leadership is seen in Bharata, serving others while adhering to the principles of righteousness and fairness. Bharata, Rama's half-brother, is an example of the divine child archetype. He is few-hearted, selfless, deeply devoted to Rama. When Rama is exiled, Bharata refuses to take the throne. Let's remember this. Instead, rules Rama as representative, preserving the integrity of his brother's name and rule. Manthara, Shurpanakha and 𝐻𝐾𝐦. I take these people as the trickster and the temptress here. I'm sorry to say this. Manthara and Shurpanakha represent the trickster archetype. What is a trickster? Individual who through deceit and manipulation set the hero's journey into motion. They make the hero's journey dynamic. Manthara's manipulation of 𝐻𝐾𝐦 leads to Rama's exile, as we all know, while Shurpanakha's attempt to seduce Rama brings about the conflict with Rama. Psychologically, these characters represent the chaotic, disruptive forces in life that serve to challenge the hero, often pushing the psyche toward growth or transformation, which is very positive in nature. 𝐻𝐾𝐦, the wife of King Dasharatha and mother of Bharata, embodies elements of both trickster and temptress characters. How? Her demand to send Rama into exile in exchange of Bharata's kingship reflects cunning and manipulative attitude. However, her actions are driven by insecurity and fear. She has a lot of insecurity and fear towards her own son and the elderly son, as we all know, showing how the trickster archetype can be motivated by personal desires, personal wants, and personal needs. Dasharatha, the father figure. What is he? Protection, authority, love, and responsibility. But Dasharatha's character reflects the challenges, the sacrifice that comes for a parenthood and a ruler, especially the emotional toll of balancing personal attachments with duty. Vibhishana, the outcast and the sage. Vibhishana, alienation, moral clarity and courage. Vibhishana represents the difficult choice to stand for truth. In spite of the environment he lives in, he stands, he chooses to be with Lord Sri Rama. This archetype, the outcast and the sage form of Vibhishana, is being projected here. A very loyal person, Sugriva the ally. The king of Vanaras, he assists Rama in his quest to rescue Sita, offering resources, warriors, intelligence to support Rama's cause. Sugriva's relationship with Rama reflects the archetypal bond between allies who come together to achieve the common goal for a greater societal benefits, for greater goodness, to see everybody be happy and, all is well kind of feel. The mentor, Vishwamitra and Agastya, as we see. Rama and Lakshmana's warfare skills, spiritual knowledge is represented by the mentor archetype, who is none other than Vishwamitra and Agastya. Symbolism of forest. What does the forest represent? It's symbolic of the wilderness of the unconscious mind that we have. It represents place of trials, self-discovery, spiritual growth. The exile into the forest marks a period of intense inner reflection for Rama and also for his companions, as we see. The bridge to Lanka, Ram Setu, as we know. The link between conscious and unconscious mind. How? Let me tell you. The bridge that Rama builds to cross over to Lanka can be viewed as a symbol of connection between conscious and unconscious mind. It is the effort and perseverance required to bridge the gap between ego, the deeper, often darker layers of psyche. In a spiritual sense, the bridge can be symbolized as the connection between the mortal world and the divine world. With faith and collective effort being necessary to reach the ultimate salvation and the enlightenment. The battle between good and bad. What is this? The abduction of Sita by Ravana symbolizes the ego's attempt to dominate and possess the soul. It reflects the psychological struggle when marital desires, Ravana, take control of her inner self, Sita, separating it from its higher aspiration, that is Sri Rama. The herald, none other than Narada. The divine sage represents a herald, a figure who announces the beginning of the hero's journey. In many versions of the story, Narada is instrumental in setting the events into motion, foretelling the challenges that will be faced and guiding key to characters. Now symbolism. I'll take up another 2 minutes, I'll finish it. Rama's bow. Kodanda, as we know, a symbol of moral strength, dharma and virtue. How? His moral and spiritual strength is his bow. It represents his power to uphold righteousness and justice. The act of stretching the bow in the Ramayana symbolizes his readiness to confront evil and defend dharma. There's a lot more to say, but I won't have time. I'll just run. Sita's fire trial. Thank you. Sita's fire trial, the Agni Pariksha, as we know, symbol of purity and devotion. Sita's trial by fire represents purity, chastity, and unwavering devotion. The fire serves as a test to demonstrate her fidelity to Rama. Just not that. The trials, especially her Agni Pariksha, symbolizes the purification of the soul. She emerges from the fire unscathed, representing spiritual integrity and the triumph of inner purity. The forest, Dandakaranya forest, as we see, it symbolizes the exile, wilderness, and challenges of life. It serves as a backdrop for transformation and spiritual growth. It is a journey of self-discovery, as we see. The forest can be seen as collective unconscious, where archetypes and repressed emotions reside. Hanuman's leap to Lanka, symbol of devotion and strength. This signifies the power of devotion to transcend obstacles and limitations, symbolizing how faith over Lord Sri Rama can help overcome difficulties in a spiritual journey. Lanka, symbol of materialism and illusion. Ravana, symbol of fragmented ego and desire. The golden deer, Maya, is the symbol of illusion and desire. The Ashoka tree symbolizes sorrow and despair, but also a resilience and hope for Sita. The chariot symbolizes the journey of life, the path of dharma, and the choices we make in our life. The seven seas and the ocean, the symbol of mind. The Vanaras, the monkey army, symbolizes loyalty, strength, diversity of support system. Rama's return to Ayodhya is a triumph of good over evil and the restoration of order and societal norms. The symbol of the ring represents the love and their bonding towards each other in the Ramayana. Lakshmana, the symbol of duty and selfless service. Forest is the inner journey. I'm not reading much. The bridge to Lanka, Ram Setu, symbolizes the connection between conscious and unconscious mind. Ravana's 10 heads symbolizes the ego and multiplicity. So therefore, I would like to conclude that Rama is the everlasting pure light of consciousness, the Atman or the self as we know, inside all of us. Dasharatha means the one who controls 10 chariots as sensory organs. And he is the one who has conquered all the 10 indriyas, 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. Thus, self-knowledge can arise. Is the birth of Rama only to such a person like Dasharatha. So from this, I would like to just conclude stating the psychological symbolism and archetypes as we heard today in Ramayana provides a profound insight on human mind, soul, mental processes and our behavior. We have to take up the good from the Ramayana and try to inherit that in this Yuga also. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
జై శ్రీరామ్. అద్భుతంగా ప్రసంగించిన మన వైష్ణవి గారిని సత్కరించవలసిందిగా వేదికను అలంకరించిన పెద్దల్ని కోరుతున్నాను.